One of the ways that's the most accurate and quickly understandable to people to describe how GLP-1 agonist drugs work is they work just like cocaine. Let's talk about the serious potential adverse side effects of GLP-1 agonist drugs and how nothing is free in biology. My name is Jason Schuster. I'm a doctor of physical therapy. I own Intricate Art Spine and Body Solutions. It's a continuing education company teaching other doctors how to do a couple things. One of the things that a lot of people are confused about is the way that GLP-1 agonist drugs work. Drugs like Ozempic, Wegovy, and some of those other ones. So those are all semaglutide related drugs. They work by improving or increasing the amount of GLP-1 floating around in the body, which changes the way the nervous system is working, which changes the hormones in the brain and makes you feel less hungry. One of the ways that's the most accurate and quickly understandable to people to describe how GLP-1 agonist drugs work is they work just like cocaine. People get all pissed off at me and they get all bent out of shape like, how dare you compare pharmaceutical drugs to cocaine? So number one, you guys, pharmaceutical drugs kill exponentially more people than cocaine ever has. So there's that. And number two, they do exactly the same thing overall to the nervous system. So this is where we go way off the rails in science right now, you guys, or at least how most people go off the rails. They think they're being smart by bringing up, oh, well, cocaine works on like these pathways and GLP-1 drugs work on these pathways. It doesn't fucking matter, you guys. Number one, we basically have no idea of almost any of the pathways that are actually happening in the body. If we could conglomerate all the medical information out there in the ether somewhere, I guarantee you we know less than 5%. So we can see some things, and very, very unfortunate people think that the things that we can see are all the things that are there. So that's all that there is, and that's how we have to talk about science. We have no freaking idea in reality all the ways that any of this stuff is working. We're good at seeing cause and effect, and we can see some minor details about pathways and how the effect is being arrived at from the cause, but we can see the cause and we can see the effect. That's the most important thing to be able to determine if something is safe or likely to have a higher reward than it does risk. So we know for a fact that when you take GLP-1 agonists, they cause an overall elevation of the sympathetic nervous system. This slide right here from my new peptide course that's coming out, you guys, all about GLP-1 drugs, some other cool peptides and stuff like that. I don't like the GLP-1 drugs at all, but there's some other cool ones in this course. But as far as the GLP-1 drugs go, you guys, this is not my opinion. This is taken directly from peer-reviewed scientific literature. The reference is right at the bottom of the slide. So to all the people that like to argue with me about this stuff, you guys can argue all the fuck you want. It doesn't matter. Your feelings and misguided, unfounded opinions on this stuff does not matter. This is the actual way that this stuff is working. Whether the pharmaceutical companies tell you of the dangerous side effects or the potential long-term side effects is completely irrelevant. Whether you understand how these things are working is completely irrelevant to the actual objective reality of the science of what's going on. GLP-1 drugs, right here, taken directly from this study and from all other studies that look at them, lead to an overall elevation of the sympathetic nervous system. To anybody that understands any type of like basic neurophysiology, this is blatantly obvious. The way that these drugs work is they make you eat less because they make you feel more full, because they slow down the rate of food that's going through your intestines, which alters hormones in your brain, and it just tells your brain that you're full because you're actually literally staying full longer. And that does other things to your brain, and you just don't end up eating as much because you're not as hungry. The parasympathetic autonomic nervous system, primarily controlled by the vagus nerve, is the primary control center of the intestines. The parasympathetics primarily control the intestines, although everything in the body has both sympathetic and parasympathetic parts of it. When the parasympathetic nervous system turns on, the intestines start to move around more and move food through the intestines. That's why it's called the rest and digest part of the nervous system, the autonomic nervous system. As far as we understand right now, at least, the autonomic nervous system is like a seesaw. There's the sympathetic side and the parasympathetic side. As the sympathetic side goes up, the parasympathetic side of the seesaw has to go down. Per this slide right here, taken directly out of peer-reviewed literature, if the sympathetic side goes up, the parasympathetic side goes down. This study and all the other ones say that GLP-1s have an overall increasing effect on the sympathetic side. They elevate the sympathetics and depress the parasympathetics. By depressing the parasympathetics, that slows down the rate that your intestines move food through them because that inhibits the function of your vagus nerve. Inhibited vagus nerve function and inhibited parasympathetic function with concomitant hyper-elevated sympathetic activity is the leading driver of all age-related diseases. Chronic sympathetic hyperactivity is the most common underlying link between all mental and physical impairment. Again, this is not my opinion. This is objective fact, you guys. So whether people think they understand how the specific pathways and stuff are working, that's absolutely meaningless. We know that chronic sympathetic hyperactivity is horrible for human beings. It's what being overweight does for you, along with a bunch of other bad things. But one of the primarily bad things that happens when you're overweight is your sympathetic nervous system is on hyperdrive all the time. It leads to all sorts of mental and physical impairments. So with Ozempic and these other drugs, you're losing the weight, but you're maintaining the chronically elevated levels of sympathetic hyperactivity, which destroys all other aspects of mental and physical health. So the thing with that is, though, you guys, that's not an overnight shift. The human body is amazingly resilient. So it takes years sometimes to actually see the severe detrimental side effects. Our body has an amazing ability to mask things. If our mitochondria can still produce enough energy to supply the energy demand, that's why most people don't know they have cancer until stage 4 if they never went into the doctor, because our body can mask things until it runs out of energy, and then when it runs out of energy, shit hits the fan and everything gets fucked up. That is exactly what is going on to people that are taking Ozempic and these other drugs, you guys. It's chronically elevating levels of the sympathetic autonomic nervous system. That does make people lose weight, but so does cocaine. And you don't see people prescribing 8 balls of cocaine to people every day because the negative side effects far outweigh the positive side effects. That's exactly what's happening, or what is going to happen with these GLP-1 drugs. I don't know why people get upset at me for posting this stuff. This is just basic science, you guys. This is very, very simple. One of the most surefire ways to fuck up somebody's health is to chronically elevate their sympathetic nervous system. If somebody said, hey, Jason, fuck this person's health up as much as you can, like as many aspects of this person's health, whatever I did, it would include elevating the sympathetic nervous system as much as I possibly could for as long as I could, and then all other systemic functions in the body get disrupted and go downhill. So that's how these drugs are working per the literature. They're not good for people, you guys. Aside from the fact that these drugs prove that eating less is the way to lose weight. So most of these doctors that prescribe these drugs will straight up with a straight face tell their patients, it's not your fault you're overweight. Eating has nothing to do with it. And then they'll give them this drug that makes people eat less, and then they lose weight. It's freaking insane. So it's not medically necessary, number one. People need to take responsibility for their own lives. These drugs prove that eating less makes you lose weight, and you don't need to prove it. It's called the second law of thermodynamics, you guys. To all the people that say calories in and calories out have nothing to do with it, I hope you've applied for the Nobel Prize for proving that the laws of thermodynamics don't hold true in human beings. Congratulations if that's the case. So the risks of these drugs far outweigh the potential benefits. That's the bottom line. Is this told to anybody? Are these potential side effects and contraindications and potential long-term negative effects related to patients? Of course they're not. So I hope you guys can understand this a little bit. Again, this, like, if you really dive into the pathways and all that stuff, the science is extremely complicated. You don't need to make it complicated to know if it's overall safe or not, and these drugs are not safe for people. Thanks for watching, guys. Check out my website, intricateartseminars.com. Check out our 2 new courses on muscle metabolism, mitochondria, ATP energy, the Titan protein, why eccentric muscle contraction is stronger. Check out our 5 nutrition courses. Check out our 2 online dry needling courses, and check out our in-person dry needling courses. Thanks for watching, you guys. Keep an eye on the channel. Subscribe, please, if you like this, and I'll be posting more videos soon. Thanks.